Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to PBA at Noon. I'm Paul Benwell, and I'm joined by my associate and colleague, Sophie Caesar. Today, we have with us Lomiko Metals. It's a graphite producer with multiple revenue streams eventually. They've just received the preliminary economic assessment, and that's what the president and CEO, Paul Gill, is going to talk about today. So, Paul, if you're there, I want to get you to it right away. And we'll take questions at the end.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Hope you can hear me, everyone.
Sophie, can you bring them up in the corner?
Yeah, Paul, I'm working there.
There you go.
There we go. Can you hear me okay, guys?
Yes, sir.
Perfectly.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me on, Paul and Sophie. Really exciting times for Lomiko. And it's my privilege to be able to bring a company that's at this stage of development and this valuation to the attention of people at PBA and Associates and people who are listening in. My name is Paul Gill. I'm the CEO of Lomiko Metals. Lomiko trades under the symbol LMR on the TSX Venture and LMRMF. On the OTC, and also in Frankfurt, DH8C or DH8C in Frankfurt. So we're not exactly a worldwide company, but we definitely have a footprint and shareholders from Europe and the US and Canada. So we're happy to have developed the company. And what we're focused on is the electric vehicle revolution. And we think we're at the right time. Thanks, Sophie. So recent developments, what's happened with Lomiko that's so exciting and so compelling at this point in time? Well, one of the things is that in April, we've acquired the 70% interest in our Bourier lithium project, which is in the Nemaska region in Canada's Lithium Triangle. And our joint venture partner there is Critical Elements, which is one of the leading groups within the lithium development space in Quebec. So we have a really good relationship there, and we should be starting exploration on that project fairly soon. We have 100% interest in our Loutre Graphite Project, which I'm going to be talking about today. And on the basis of that 100% interest, we recently reported a preliminary economic assessment. And we're also looking at doing the right thing in getting community engagement and development by opening a local office. We have really good metallurgical results, which is an excellent situation for us. Our recoveries are very important when it comes to these projects. We have 3.5 million in hard dollars in the till and another 1.5 million in flow through. And there's almost $10 million worth of warrants should the company stock increase to the next level of 30 cents or so. We've also, at this point in time, hired environmental consultants for a baseline study. This is absolutely a necessity when it comes to these projects. Next slide, please. So here you have two maps of the two projects. On the left, you have the Loutre Project, which has two areas of development that are going on now. It's located about 125 kilometers northwest of Montreal and has highway access to the southern and eastern edges, and about 20 kilometers worth of gravel roads that will have to be developed as we go in to access the project. On the other side, you have the Bourier project. As you can see, it's part of a long string of a very active area in James Bay. You have Nemaska Lithium that's there. Critical Elements is the large green at the top. The Rose project's been going on. And also you have a considerable amount of other developments. A lot of it is in association with Critical Elements. So next slide, please. So what are we here to talk about? What we are here to talk about is the opportunity of the next decade. And that's right now. You know, in the 1980s, you had computers just coming on. And if you invested then, by 1990, you would have made quite a bit of money in Microsoft or some of these other companies that have been developed in 1990. If you invested in the internet or internet-related companies, by 2000, you would have done very well. 2000, any kind of smartphone or smartphone concepts and software-related materials, they took off. And 2010 was the age of the social media. And really now everyone is on social media. So I think now what we have is the opportunity next decade, where, as you can see by the chart, the rise of electric cars is here. In the next 10 years, I think we'll see a lot more on the road. Next slide. So what does that mean? When you have these new cars, why is that important? Why have any kind of graphite material? Well, there's 92 kilograms of graphite in a Tesla. That's just one vehicle. There's many other vehicles that are going to be on the road. As you know, you can look out and see Fisker, Rivian, NIO, GM is coming out with stuff. So is Porsche and all of the rest of them. And all of those also, you might even add in that there's going to be charging stations that require lithium-ion batteries. So you can see the kinds of change that are going to occur in the next few years, and we have to have those supplies ready to go now, and within now and the next 5 years, in order for that market to develop and for those lithium-ion batteries to be built. So now is the time, and we're at the right place at the right time. Next slide. Why is graphite the key area that we are interested in? Well, simply put, graphite is the unknown quantity in the lithium-ion battery. What we can look at is the kinds of material, the kinds of areas in which you need graphite, and you can go down the list: the additives industry, the electric industry, electrical industry, smelting, brake shoes, refractories, gaskets. But when you get down, and lubricants and pencils, but when you get down to EV batteries, the spherical graphite, if you can produce that type of material, is far and above the best market to be in. And that's where I think the market growth is coming from. So that's where we aim to be. So it's good to know where your market is going. So that's something we focus on. Next slide. So why do we think we can do this? Well, one of the things that we get in criticism is, oh, well, there's graphite in Africa, graphite in India, graphite in other parts of the world. Why focus on Quebec? Well, the fact is there's a collaboration agreement on critical elements and critical materials between US and Canada. So they will take supply from North America first and then look at the rest of the world. So if we can build it here, we'll be in a good situation. Not only do they have that relationship, Canada also arranged to have the same supply agreement with the EU. So we have two big markets that are ready to go. And so, being in Quebec, you have the access to both of those markets. It's a very good location to be in with the Port of Montreal. Next slide. So where are we located? Here's the map. You see in the blue circle, there's Montreal and the Port of Montreal. Thanks, Sophie. And the purple is where we are in the middle. That's about 120 kilometers or so. Very easy highway access to close to the road, close to the property, and access to the project on gravel road. Now, it's a large project, 2,800 hectares. And we have already defined at this point in time a preliminary economic assessment that puts the post-tax valuation at $186 million. So that means that after all the taxes are paid, this is what the valuation is at present for what the project would earn. Now that 186 million is only 8% of the actual net asset value over 15 years. So when you look at it, the project will earn in after-tax dollars over 2 billion. But the valuation today of that project, because of risk factors, is only 186 million, which is still a significant uptick from where we are in our market cap of 25 million. So there's a lot of opportunity here, and we want to make sure that people are aware of it. Too often, everyone looks and looks and looks, and then by the time some of the bigger players come in, it's already too late. So I think that's what I'm here to tell you is now is the opportunity for the retail investors to take a good look at what we're doing. We think we have a lot of value. 15-year mine life at the present time, 236 million to build this project. That's fairly reasonable. It's in the ballpark of many of the other ones. All-in sustaining cost is important. So for each ton, how much does it cost to process and get it ready to ship to market? $406. But yet the average market for us in the next 15 years is going to be 916. So we have a nice margin that going forward. Now we're 100% owned. We have a 1.5% NSR. 0.5 of that will be bought back, and we'll negotiate on the rest of it so that we could retain some of those earnings as well. Next slide. So what is the upside for Lomiko? Well, the fact is that what we've assessed so far for that valuation is only 2 areas on the entire property. So we have 2 areas of development on an area which has many mineralized areas. And so if you look to the south of the project, there's untouched mineralized areas that we haven't even done anything with. Now, of course, we're going to look at exploration to see if there's anything there. We're going to look at infill drilling as well on the project to go from inferred and indicated to proven and probable. But as you see now, the design, what you have is the dark areas are the pit designs. So there's 4 pits there. There's that's the EV zone, and then the graphene battery zone where the pointer is now. So those are 2 separate pit areas that we can develop. And as we develop them, we're putting them into the location where there's a larger white area outlined with black and white. And that's the co-disposal area. So that's where the material will be stored. And the importance of this is that we can store that material without it touching any waterways or having any environmental impact on water. And it's going to be a dry storage area, no wet storage, so you don't have flooding or any kind of problems like that. So it's very important to do that. This particular area has limited use by local areas. They hunt there. There's ATV trails, but for the most part, there's mostly wilderness and other than logging, there's no other industry. So we're in a very good spot, I think, to develop this if we do it carefully and we monitor what we touch and what we impact. Then we're going to be able to get approval for this. But it's a long process, and we're at I think a good stage here to explain to people what the opportunity is. Next slide, please. So where do we stand? We have 237 million shares out right now. We have 70 million that could be exercised in the next little while for about 300 million, 310 million total fully diluted. But if you do that fully diluted, you would get another $9 million. We currently have a cash position of both hard and flow-through dollars of 5 million. Part of that money of the flow-through will be spent on exploration drilling at Loutre and also exploration of the Loutre Project, which is at an early stage, but still a very prospective project because it is an area where we have both a massive sulfide system. Volcanic massive sulfides are known to have various different mineral occurrences. So it may have cobalt, may have nickel, may have lithium, may have copper. And so we're really having to explore that very carefully. But all in all, I'm very happy with the progress that we've made so far. We're well cashed up. We can develop the project, we can drill, and we're definitely in the ballpark with a new lithium project as well. So I really encourage people to take a good look, take a deep dive, and continue to send emails and ask questions. And I'm happy to open the floor to questions now. So thanks very much, guys.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions that have already come in, and I invite anybody else who has questions to ask them in the Q&A. So let's start here at the beginning. Can you tell us who some of your main shareholders are?
Well, we're very retail based. I have my group and one of the directors. They are basically account for about 30 to 35% of the shareholdings at present. We've had shareholders currently listed as Maple Leaf Funds. We have Sprott as a shareholder in the last financing that was done at 17 cents. And there is MarkWest as well as smaller firms such as Probity, I believe it is. So those are the main institutions. We have significant holdings in the United States, high net worth individuals. So we're really a lot of retail based. And so now the next step is to attract institutions.
Excellent. So the cash you have on hand, how far will that take you?
Well, right now, given our burn rate, we burn about 100,000 a month when we have full complement of staff and going. So it'll take us a long time to get through that. But really, when you were active and drilling, we expect to be raising sometime in February or even before that if we get the right offer. At this point in time, of course, we feel the shares are significantly depressed. It's not a good time to raise. It's more of a time to tell people about the opportunity, which is what we're doing now.
Excellent. Do you have any offtake agreements and discussions?
No, we have no offtake agreements. We've had some discussions, but people are waiting for the filing of the PEA. What we've put out now is the release related to the PEA, and the filing of the actual documentation will happen in September. And then they're going to carefully go through all of that and be able to take a look at it. Still, I don't think that offtake agreements are going to happen on a PEA basis. We're probably going to have to bring the project to pre-feasibility in order to go that route. But definitely we're going to move forward on that. You have to remember that right now the internal rate of return on that project, after all said and done, post taxes, is 21%. So it's not too bad, but that's given a $900 share price. So if that $900 cost or market for graphite on an average weighted basis. So if that average weighted basis, because if graphite moves, goes to 1,400, look out, where valuations even higher than a significant valuation we have now.
So seeing as that you're in Quebec, how much has the Quebec government helped and given you, considering that, of the strategic status of the metals, and they're very supportive, and there's a lot of initiatives going on right now?
Yeah, we're actually very happy to have been mentioned in the critical minerals plan that was developed by Quebec. We're actually part of the chart there. So obviously we've had some attention. Now the next step is really to get this document in front of the people that would be reviewing it in order for them to, at the government level, to endorse the project and be participants. So that's a process, of course, that has to be gone through. And obviously, like any funder, they're going to be very big on scrutiny because of the situations in Quebec in the past where there has been a large amount of money put forward in different companies that didn't work out. So we want to be on the right side of all of that. We feel we're being very conservative in our approach and very very diligent, and Ausenco was the person, was the group that did the engineering study, very big international firm. So we're very pleased with the results so far.
And when you're talking about international, so we have a question here. Do you think that infrastructure money that you might need, do you think that the US government would participate? I mean, we know that the Canadian government and Quebec obviously has a stake, but do you think that there could be a possibility there as well in the US?
Well, I don't think the government of the US would participate, but certainly the venture capital groups over there would take a look at us. We've already had discussions with some of them, and definitely there's no reason that that the government of the US would participate at this point. I don't see it. We have the Canadian government. I think that's a better bet.
Yeah. So there's a couple of questions here regarding the stock and the structure. Would you ever consider doing rolling back the stock to reduce the outstanding shares?
Yeah, we looked at that. It's not on in the cards right now. We have a significant value right now, and I think that once we go out there and talk about the value, we're going to get institutional support, and institutions love to see volume trading and be able to trade and buy large positions. So it's not really necessary at this point in time. I think that we're not overly valued. I mean, we look at other groups in the area. We have Nouveau Monde, which is one of our direct competitors, trading at 500 million market cap with quite a few more dollars in the bank. So I think that we're well situated. We just have to tell people that we're here, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, and their story started very small as well. So that's
Absolutely,
actually a
and
really good, comparison.
that's the opportunity. And here we are with Nouveau Monde at $7 US, trading on the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, that's a big sign and a big hope for us to say that this is where the potential is.
Yeah, I remember going to visit that property 10 years ago. So yeah. There's a question here. Does the program shut down for the winter months?
No, we're actually more active in the winter because of the way the seasons work, and drilling is easier in the winter because you have a freeze up, and then you're going across the roads. You're not doing any environmental damage, so there's less remediation costs. Also, in the summer, you have some people that are using the area for ATV or whatever for at the moment. You have hunting seasons sometimes for deer or bear. You don't want to mess around with those guys. We can do what we're doing without having to impinge on any of them. Because really what our main focus right now is environmental baseline, which is taking samples of water and soil and counting birds and looking at streams, looking at trout. That's a very base level. And then the drilling will happen in winter. So there's no conflict at this point in time.
Great. What's the estimated grade or quality of the graphite for purity, and how close to the surface do you think it's located?
Yeah, what we have is as it's coming out of the ground, the head grade, I believe, was 6.85. It's in the highlight package, so that's fairly good. For the first few years, it's actually going to be higher than that. It's going to be 8%, I believe, and so that's excellent. The percentage of graphite after processing, the carbon purity. We've looked at 97.5% after the SGS process that was done. That release was out in April 7th of 2021. So we think that that's a very good recovery rate, and it gives us an opportunity, I think, to do purifying, less work on purifying and more work on conversion. Because then once you get to that level, the next step is to make spherical graphite, and you need a heating and treating process. So it's much easier when it's higher grade like that and higher percentage carbon.
So when would you want to go in production? And there's a second part to this question, but when would you want to go into production?
Well, we have the PEA calls for a 2025 start,
Okay.
December 2025 start.
And so then the second part to that question from another individual is there an opportunity for a buyout before the mine is built?
Yeah, we're not aware of anything at this point in time, but there's always that that inkling in the back of your mind as a group. You're looking at the potential for someone to be able to need this material. In fact, one of the things we know is that one of the groups that is producing graphite, the only producing group in all of North America, Imerys Carbon Graphite in Lac des Îles, is just a stone's throw away, 100 kilometers north or 50 kilometers north of where we are. So they have a processing facility. They've been operating for 20 years. They're running deeper and deeper in the mine. This might be something that would solve some of their problems and be able to feed some of that material to them. So there's opportunities there for sure.
Okay, so given the need, for Canada to produce rare earth metals, and the apparent open arms approach by both the Quebec and the Canadian governments, is there an environmental concern? What is the initial response that you've had from the local people regarding environmental concerns or versus employment opportunities?
Yeah, it's a very important question. What is the environmental impact? And so that's part of the reason why we've hired Hemera to look at where the baseline is. They're going to take a picture of what the environment looks like now, right? Look at everything that's there. Okay, and then as we go through processing, what will the impact of our project be? So one of the things I mentioned before, which is very important, is that there's a co-disposal facility which will not have any liquid in it. So that negates the opportunity for flows into rivers or anything like that, or into lakes. So that's very important. The second aspect of that is that not only will we use that facility, we'll also remediate the pits that we create by backfilling them with benign rock and then being able to replant. So as we're going forward from one to the other, we'll be able to remediate one and move to the next. So it's I think a very excellent plan that Ausenco's come up with. And that, again, limits the footprint. Now, not to say that there's not going to be any impact. There's always impact of these large projects. So we're going to make every effort and really listen to what people have to say about what may be the right way to go, or different opportunities, different situations.
Okay. Now, how are you prioritizing ongoing exploration and movement? Example, by site and progress of the site.
Yeah, it's essential to continue the exploration project. I mean, what a PEA is essentially a snapshot of where the project is now. So we've drilled these two projects out, we took a picture. Now let's take a look at what else is there on the site. You want to be able to create a valuation argument based on what you have now, and then see if there's additional areas of interest. And that's what we will do. We'll do lots of exploration and infill drilling. And we still have the Bourier project, which in itself is because we're partnered with Critical Elements. I'm really excited about the next little while, as the guys are going to get on the ground and be able to report back on what they found there.
Okay, so I have one more question before I hand it over to Paul. You mentioned earlier that 2 of the 12 holes had been drilled. When do you see the drilling of the other 10 holes?
Okay, it's not holes. We've drilled over 150 drill holes into the areas that we have, and it's the electric vehicle north zone, electric vehicle south zone, graphene battery north, and graphene battery south. So there's 4 distinct areas that will be open pit locations. So lots of holes have been drilled there. So it's anomalies that we're talking about. Okay. Those were 4 anomalies. Now we have another or 2 anomalies. We have another 10 that we haven't really investigated. So those are things that we're going to look at now. What's there? It's further underground. There's a little bit softer ground around it. It wasn't easy to access before. When freeze up happens, we'll be able to go out and drill, and then who knows what we'll find down there, because those are the bigger anomalies than what we have now. I mean, these were surface expressions, which is nice, but those are the bigger ones.
And sorry, Paul, I'm just going to get in there. Are you going to, will Lomiko be participating in Montreal's own Explore conference this year?
Not this year, I don't believe. We haven't registered at this point in time.
Okay. Paul, go ahead.
Paul, great presentation. You've really moved this project forward in the last couple of years, and it's really starting to pick up speed and get to the point, especially with the PEA. Now, just moving forward in the short term, are you fully permitted to do whatever you need to do right now?
Right now, what we're going to do is apply for a drilling permit for the winter.
Okay.
And drill in December and January. So that'll be nice, because we'll have drill results going into February, March of next year.
Excellent. And the final question, Paul, before we let you go, and thanks to everyone for joining us today and for the great questions. Any more questions, you can reach Sophie or I, or send them to Paul himself. Are you going to bring this to production?
Yeah, I think this is the way to go. I mean, that's the biggest value add that you can do. Unless there's someone who's writing an awfully big check, I don't see that we need to go to anyone at this point in time. There's financing available for these projects. You just have to look for the right people. We've got an example of what can happen with Nouveau Monde. Well, you know, I think the best thing is to use it as a core asset value, and then continue to add other projects as you go forward. You know, this is the thing that I look for. I mean, when I did work on the Norsemont project, the big copper project that we were involved in Peru, we started very small, but as you developed and drilled and added value, all of a sudden, yeah, there was other groups that were interested, and we bought our project for maybe 50 million. It sold to Hudbay for 500 million. But you know how much we left on the table? $19.5 billion of value.
You know, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around the whole
You just
idea.
can't understand the size of these projects can be, right? So yeah, we think that there's a big opportunity here, and you know, someone's going to have to really convince us that they can do a better job at it than us.
Perfect answer, Paul. That's what I wanted to hear, because you put a lot of work into it. So I'd like to see it move right to the end of it. Thanks to everyone. Thank you, Paul, very much. Appreciate it. You're always welcome to come and present at any of our events. Thanks to everyone. Paul. Take care, everybody. And we'll see everyone soon.
Thank you.
Cheers.